This is Future Phenoms, tracking football's rising stars. I'm Andy. I'm joined by Nino Brown and SC Romero. We have a jam-packed episode after the intro. SC, Nino, what's going on, guys?
What's cracking?
It's good, man. You know what it is, what we look forward to every week. Future Phenoms and what my wife's cooking for dinner. We ready, man. Let's get it.
All right, let's get right into it. Names to watch for the 2024 college football season. Nino, you're up first.
All right, I'm going to go with something that as of relevance, right? Brand new as of the other day. I'm going to go Romero Murphy, wide receiver committed to Arizona, 6 foot, 185 pounds, right? As my friend here, the Easter egg, the Easter bunny likes to drop off in the show, doc. He's another guy out of JUCO. Had 10 games at College of San Mateo, 17 receptions, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Went over to Old Dominion. Had himself a pretty decent year last year. You know, was played outside on the wide receiver rows out wide, most 88.1%. He had 28 receptions on 47 targets, 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. You know, he's not, the yak guy. He only had 130 yards of yak, but my man is the deep ball threat. 17.7 on the A-dot scale. He was counted for 17 first downs, and he will line up, slot right in there alongside Ted McMillan, who, mind you, right now is nursing an injury. Spring ball just happened, right? He's getting in there right now. He's going to be able to, go through everything and go to fall camp and go through everything with Fida, work his way into, get into a connection with him. I'm just saying, I think this guy hit the spot right in the landing spot. I think he's going to be a prime candidate for some targets when everybody's throwing that double on the Ted McMillan.
Yeah, I mean, my first note on him was just a go-getter type of wide receiver. He knows how to track the ball well. He gets down the field really quickly. And Jacob Cowan just got drafted, right? So now it's Ted, and now, why was Jacob Cowan open? Like you just said, those double teams go on Ted, and he was a good route runner too and got in there. But Murphy can win those 50-50 balls, which is good. He's someone that can also be a deep threat for them if they need it. He knows how to stretch the field. But again, he can be underneath if he wants to be. Ted's going out wide as well. So I like that combination that could be there. He was definitely a good prospect to look at.
SC, who's your first guy?
So I'm going to bring it down to my alma mater, Sam Houston. It's going to be John Gentry. He transferred in from Utah State, excuse me. He's a running back. Didn't get a lot of opportunity out there. Came back to Sam Houston, had about 3.3 yards per carry. But what I really loved about this guy is he caught 85.4% of his targets. So he was definitely someone that they use in the passing game. I think he could definitely become their lead back this upcoming year. For your CFF leagues, he's definitely a good choice because I think he could be relevant and definitely get more yards for the Sam Houston Bearcats this season.
I mean, Sam Houston's not got much on the offensive side of the ball here. Guy who averaged 3.3 yards per carry, only had 400 yards. It's hard for me to kind of put some stock into it because I don't see anything in that offense that's kind of changed to make me think that maybe he's going to get 200 carries and somehow make it to 700-800 yards. The opportunity, I guess, because it's his backfield, I can see that. It's just I'm a little leery on where everything's going to go to make him sufficient for me to take him in a C2C league or even, in a CFF league because he doesn't find the end zone that often. Only has 3 touchdowns, right? He's not going for big runs. He's not putting up 1,000 yards. And it's not, he's not over that threshold of 5.5 yards per carry for me. So I'm a little concerned here. I guess the positive side of it is the opportunity and maybe he can hit the ground running.
Yeah, and hopefully he gets a little bit more involved in that passing game because he sounds like a really reliable pass catching back for him. So.
Right. I mean, he had 35 receptions last year. Again, did only have 2 touchdowns. So, the red zone, I feel, is like his kryptonite.
Yeah, for sure.
And with Sam Houston, they were looking for a better improved quarterback play. They got Jace Bauer in from Central Michigan, and Noah Smith, I believe, is the leading target there. So those 3 are going to be the keys for Sam Houston State. Nino, who's your next guy?
Another guy of relevance in the portal, I think, hit a good landing spot. And he may not be of something to pop off this year, but we'll get back to that when I'm finished. I'm going to go with Ja'Cory Brown, quarterback out of Miami, just committed to UCF, right? 6'4", 220 pounds. Only played one game last year in a bowl game for Miami. 21 to 32, 65%. He had almost 200 yards passing. He had a pick and a touchdown, right? But he uses his legs well. 9 attempts, 66 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. In that game, he flashed a little bit, showed that deep ball presence. He had 2 big-time throws, right? He can make the throws on all levels. He's a former Elite 11's quarterback. You know, he's number 6 dual threat QB. He's a 4-star. Right? He played Georgia 7A All-Star. I mean, that is some of the top quality football in Georgia. Now, he was stuck behind TVD and everything else last year, but he's going on a spot now. He's going to be behind KJ Jefferson. KJ Jefferson wasn't the greatest quarterback last year at Arkansas, and KJ Jefferson has already got himself into trouble with the law out in Central Florida. I'm not totally against him. Who each their own outside football, whatever you do, you do. But I'm just saying it's not a very good start for him. He seems to be a little bit heavy.
260 pounds on that ticket, it said.
You know, so I don't know if we're going to get the best KJ Jefferson. And if he does not come out the gun, you know, smoking, there's a good chance that my guy Brown could be pushing him for reps. Don't let him get his foot in the door. That's all I'm saying. He's hungry. He showed you a little bit in that game in Miami when they the QB1. He touchdowns offensively. This kid's going to push KJ Jefferson. If KJ Jefferson isn't stellar in the first 4 weeks, look out.
Yeah, no, I actually love Brown coming out, man. This guy, he's focused in the pocket. He can throw with some precision and some zip behind him. Also knows how to use his feet if he needs to. Just an all-around type of quarterback that you'd love to see. And I think they wanted that in KJ Jefferson, but now, you know, all those issues are starting to happen. So now it's like, oh, stat, well, we want this kind of dynamic playmaker that can lead our offense. And Ja'Cory Brown, I think, could do that. I mean, he was one of my top guys coming out, so I absolutely love him. Great pick.
I think Ja'Cory Brown is closer to a Rhymes Plumlee type player than KJ Jefferson is currently.
ST, who's your last guy?
So we're gonna go IDP here, and this is gonna be a guy that's gonna be one of the leaders out of A&M in Tareen York. This guy just knows how to get between his gaps. He knows how to bring that pressure. Last year, as a true freshman, he had 74 total tackles, 39 of those being solo, with 3 sacks and a forced fumble. His best game was in week 4 when he kind of just took over. He had 11 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He just knows how to get downfield quickly. He knows how to stop the run. 33 run stops last season. In an interview he had after the spring game, you know, they asked him what it feels like, you know, being there now. Freshman, he has. Oh, sorry. And then he says, I feel like it's on me as being a little middle linebacker. Got confused there. To just lead everyone down the field. So he knows he's the leader on that back in that defense. He knows what he needs to do, and this is the year he's gonna step up and be a big impactful player for A&M.
Oh, I think it's his room, and he's going to take it and run with it. I love what you mentioned, the 33 run stops and, you know, 74 tackles as a true freshman. What I love, this guy is explosive. 8.5 tackles for loss. Lives in the backfield, always looking for the leather, always looking to cause, you know, the quarterback some havoc. I think this kid could get you 100 tackles and possibly double-digit tackles for loss this year. I love everything about his game. I love his demeanor. Give me all the York I can get.
I think I saw a stat that was like his average depth of tackle was 2 yards, meaning he's getting there. He's not letting guys get 5-6 yards on them. He's getting in their face and he's bringing them down.
Wrapping you up like a Snuggie, baby.
Right.
Nino, who's your last guy?
I got one last guy here, and I think, you know, opportunity has hit. This is the perfect spot for him, and he showed a little bit in his time last year when Mox got hurt. I'm going to go with Seth Davis, running back out of Mississippi State. You know, right off the rip, the running back room is kind of open. I mean, Jeremy Pittman and Kayvon Lee haven't really done much. I think they got 350 yards combined in 2 seasons. And I know they brought in, you know, the JUCO top running back in Johnny Daniels, who had over 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns. But Seth Davis was the guy, like I mentioned. When Mox was out, he was the guy that filled the role. He's kind of like an undersized scat back, 5'7", 175 pounds. But he's a Texas running back, and you know how I feel. I mean, this guy's got like almost 5,000 yards combined coming out of Katy High School in 2 seasons. Over 60 touchdowns. He's elusive. He's a slasher. He's got good bursts coming out the hole. His first step is deadly. He's got that big play capability. And he knows how to get low and get short when he has to, just to get in and get out. So I think Seth Davis has a chance with the gentleman who committed and just left, went to Colorado, Amos. Backfield's wide open for him. watch out for Seth Davis here being your RB1. He possibly could get 900,000 yards.
Yeah, a lot more than what my guy Gentry will probably get, Sam Houston. But I mean, I'm watching this guy's highlight tape. I blink when he gets the snap. I blink, and then he's 20 yards down the field. Like this kid can move, you know what I mean? So he's definitely someone to watch. Don't blink because you'll miss him. But he's very elusive too. He has some good vision. He knows how to get between. He knows how to get small, and just get in between those tackles and actually make the big play by making people miss. So I absolutely love him, and I think he could do great things at Mississippi State.
And those are some names to know and write down for your CFF, C2C, and IDP leagues. On to our next segment, this or that, freshman versus freshman. Running back Jordan Washington, who's in the portal, versus Joseph Dodds, Baylor. Nino, you're up first.
All right. I'm probably going to be on the opposite side of this one. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm going to go with Dodds here. 6 foot, 195. And then I look at the tape and I do a little more research. I notice it's going to be putting him on a high expectation or whatever, or player comp, but he's got that Adrian Peterson style of run to him. He's got that upright run, that speed, that physicality to him, right? He's a 4-star. He ran a 11.01 100-meter. He had almost a 5.9 high jump. He's a first-team District 14 3A Division II. Twice he did that. Senior year, he had 2,000 yards. His junior year, he had 12 touchdowns, 1,600 yards. He's got great contact balance. He's got quickness in between the tackles. He can run outside. He's got that long speed. He's got burst. I'm not saying he's Chris Brown, but he's got some fluid hip movement to him. Like I said, he's physical. I get that Derrick Henry stiff arm, and it's like a signature move. He gets around that corner. You kind of tackle him. You get within that 1 yard radius, that bubble, and he's throwing the arm out there. His physicality. I think at Baylor, with that air raid style offense, now you're bringing this kind of bruising type running back. I think this guy's built for success in that program.
I'll go with Washington. You're talking about the guy that's built and that can truck over some guys. This guy's super fast. Finished second in the state in the 100-meter dash. Has that elusiveness to him as well, as I just mentioned when you talked about Seth Davis there. But he's just very agile when it comes to his footwork. He knows how to get between them. He knows how to explode out, and he can definitely break away any top play and take the defense off if he needs to as well. So I went with Washington in this one.
It was a tough play for me, but I know you're banking on the speed here. But my guys come out and say he's got 4.3 speed and being that big guy. So we'll have to see as time goes on. But I think this is going to be one where we can revisit in a year, and we might both be right.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, position versus position. Quarterback, Connor Harrell versus quarterback, Jacoby Criswell. SC, you're up first.
I went with Connor Harrell on this one. This guy, dual threat. He knows how to escape the pressure when it comes to him. He has a soft touch when his throws too. He knows how to get those guys right into the ball. He doesn't necessarily need the receiver to track it. He's going to get it to them regardless. He does throw those direct bullets in the slant routes as well. Also had an ADOT of 11.4 yards. So, I mean, he's actually getting the ball out there. He's not necessarily relying on his receivers to get big yards or anything. He knows what he needs to do. And again, that elusiveness when it comes to escaping that pressure, I think was really great from him. So I went with him in this one.
Dude, I'm sorry, but we mentioned KJ Jefferson and how terrible he was last year. Criswell couldn't even crack it into the start lineup then, right? I mean, he garnered a total of 143 yards, 3 touchdowns, 44 yards on the ground, 63% completion. But yeah, he can throw the ball downfield. He drives the ball well. He's got zip to him. But I'm going to tell you straight out, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit right in this episode. Bro, this guy was a product of they needed 4 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster, and they only had 3. He was available. He wanted to go to something that was familiar, and here he is. He ain't pushing this kid for anything, right? Obviously, Max Johnson is going to be the QB1 to start. Anybody coming up next is Harrell. I mean, this dude at the highest level of Alabama football was chucking the ball for 3,500 yards a season, 30 touchdowns every year. He's mobile. He was the Alabama Gatorade Player of the Year. Jacoby Criswell couldn't even sniff that, bro. Give me Harrell all day. And I think if Max Johnson doesn't come out like the other guy, like I said, like KJ Jefferson to start the season, watch out, because this gentleman could come in there and steal his job.
Next one. Wide receiver Colby Young versus wide receiver Noah Thomas. Nino, you're up first.
Again, the Easter egg, the JUCO egg has arrived again with Colby Young. 6'5", 215, had a good season last year for Miami. 47 receptions, 560 yards, 5 touchdowns. He averaged 12 yards per catch. I had a big game against A&M, and a big game against Clemson in overtime. He was the main reason that kept it going in the overtime. But unfortunately, I think this guy's just a product. There's too many mouths to feed in this room, right? And it's too many mouths to feed. Unfortunately, at the tight end department, you got two guys probably going to be top 5 tight ends and Delp and Yurosek, but then you got Lovett, Bell, Ra Thomas is back. They went out and got London Humphreys. I don't know if Carson Beck can feed all of these mouths. When we look on the other side of it, I'm not the biggest Noah Thompson guy, but I think he kind of wins by default, right? Who's in the room? Cyrus Allen, transfer. Jabri Baba, injured, transfer. And then you look at a freshman who might get some starting playing time, and Isaiah Williams. He's 6'6", right? He's 200 pounds. He had 400 yards last year. He found the end zone a few times. He shows up in the bigger games. He's got the better quarterback. His guy, I think, is going to be the product of a lot of red zone targets, a lot of the deep balls. And if Carter Wegman is 100%, I got to go with Noah Thomas. I'm not the Noah Thomas guy, but I just think when it comes to having the opportunity and not having a room full of guys that can steal your targets, I'm going to go with Thomas.
So I went with Kobe Young. You mentioned a lot of great things about him. That is a deep receiver room. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Lovett, but he doesn't necessarily need to be a red zone threat either. You mentioned 500 or so yards. 42% of his yards were yards after the catch. So he had 245 yards after the catch. So I think that's where he could benefit. A lot of people see his size and think he's just his red zone threat. Nah, man, he can actually benefit in those short intermediate passes and get some things after that as well. So that's where I went with him. I do like Thomas as well. You mentioned great points there where he is or should be the lead guy there. But because of that experience, I think Kobe Young may go in there and, maybe one of Beck's favorite targets. You talking about mouths to feed. Yeah, I think Kobe Young will be one of the ones that he is feeding, though.
You mentioned the short and intermediate routes. I'm pretty sure that's why they went and got London Humphreys was for those short and intermediate routes. And I mean, your guy in that backfield, unless he became a ghost, right? ETN's going to get some of those short and intermediate routes as well. So I'm saying there's a lot of mouths in that offensive feed. He may have better stats at the end. I just think the opportunity right now for Thomas is better. So I have to go that route.
It's fair.
That was our this or that segment. Let's get to our next. 5 statements with Nino and SC. Statement number 1, UCLA's TJ Harden will run for 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. SC, you're up first.
I saw 12 touchdowns, not 15. I'm not going to lie. I think the backfield is TJ Harden's. 1,200, man. I won it by 10 because 2 seasons ago we saw Charbonnet be the lead back. Last season it was between Harden and Carson Steele. So how are they going to run that? But my question was, who is the second back there? Is it Keegan Jones? I mean, who is going to be the second guy that's going to dismantle him or take him off his throne of being the lead back? I don't think it's anyone. The biggest thing is he would need to have about 210 carries, had I think 153 or so last season. 210 carries, averaging what he was averaging for his career, about 5.7 yards to hit that 1,200 benchmark. Can he do that? Possibly. I think I want to sell on the yards, but I'll definitely buy on the touchdowns because I think he's just going to be their guy at the red zone.
I'm going to double down. I think he's going to hit both of them. I wasn't a Harden guy last year because Carson Steele was my running back, but they kind of split it down the middle. Carson Steele beat him out a little bit in positive production per. But dude, I could go down to your local Home Depot and probably pick up a guy in a parking lot that's probably as good as the depth chart at UCLA. I don't know. Is Keegan Jones a wide receiver or is stay right at so? For me, his only competition hasn't even arrived yet. He'll be there in fall camp. In Cameron Jones, a 3-star running back coming in as a freshman. I think they're going to feed this dude. Like I said, they split. It was 156, 167, 827 to 847 between him and Steele. If you just double him up and he gets all those carries, he's at 1,600 alone. So, some guys are going to get the carries. I think the 1,200 yard, the 1,500 yards is possible without a doubt. And the 15 touchdowns, he's going to be the only guy. I don't see anybody stealing his red zone carries, and I think he's going to have a couple of those big, long runs as well. So, yeah, give me both. I'm going to double down. I think he's going to hit both marks.
Statement number 2. The dream landing spot for running back Isaiah Augustave is Tennessee. Nino, you're up first.
I was kind of torn here because I think they have 2 perfect running backs for succession in Dylan Sampson and Cameron Sheldon. Sheldon is an absolute freak athlete. Literally, he could do anything. And we saw a little bit of that in the bowl game with him and Sampson and Nico. I think they have a nice run there. Now, yes, Tennessee was the last school that offered him before he actually committed, to Arkansas. But I really think that Florida State's going to be the kind that's going to come in here and swoop him up. I mean, they were the last one that gave him an offer. He went there. He was his last school that he visited, and he went there, and it was unofficial. You know what I mean? And then following that unofficial visit, he came back home. Tennessee gave him an offer. He visited Arkansas again, and then officially signed with them. I just think with the two guys they got that they really like, they're youthful. Yeah, it could be a dream landing spot for him. I just don't know if there is room for him right off the rip and if they're targeting him.
Dream landing spot. If you would have said good, I would have probably said yeah. But you actually put me on Cam Sheldon, Andy. So that's where I was like, I don't know, because I think that's their guy. Going in there last year, he was their freshman last year. And now they're bringing in this other one. Good spots for you on there. I also brought in or wrote down, maybe Kentucky or Utah. I know they offered him as well. And those two teams, to my knowledge, do need a backfield as well. So, I really like Augustave and what he could do for a team. As far as Tennessee being the dream landing spot, good landing spot, yeah, but I don't think it's the dream landing spot, no.
Statement number 3, class of 25 wide receiver Raheem Hutchins is currently a 3-star in the composites. He is massively overlooked by the services and will be an impactful power 4 starter. Nino, you're up first.
Oh, lightning in a bottle, baby. This dude is absolutely sick fast. What, 10.6 100-meter? Like, this guy, and he's athletic as hell, 23.6 long jump. He's just getting into football, right? And he's just getting his feet wet and acclimated. People have slept on him, and now the office is starting to pour in. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. My guys at Boston College weren't sleeping on him. They offered him early before all the buzz started. But now it's beginning, and you're starting to see what the kid's got. Separation, quickness. He's got route running, and everything as he's going on, he's starting to polish and get better and better as the weeks and months get on. Watch out. The office is about to fly in the next 2 to 3 months. This kid is going to skyrocket up the rankings. Andy, it's getting, repetitive between us three, but this services, man, we got to check who's giving them their cards to go and scout these players, because I think the three of us could do a lot better job than some of these guys that are getting paid.
Yeah, man. And, just because draft season, the name that popped out right when you start watching his tape is Malachi Corley. As far as what he does in that screen game, he's gone. He's getting yards after that catch, and that's something that a lot of people saw in Malachi Corey outside of everything else he did, right? So this guy is physical. He knows what he needs to do. He has an official visit planned to Nebraska in June. So that's an interesting look, because you have Raiola there, right? And then you have Noah Rogers and Coleman. Let's see if they do anything. If not, he could go in there and be someone for them. Very big, the smaller wide receivers. He's about 160, at least that's what I'm reading here. But you see what Xavier Worthy did. You see what Franklin did. That size, yes, it does help, but with a guy that's explosive like he is, that doesn't matter, man. It becomes irrelevant, because he still makes the plays. He still gets physical. He still knows how to play bigger than what he is, and he knows how to be that reliable target for his quarterback, not just deep, but also underneath, or also, like I said, in the screen game. They know they can get him the ball, and he'll get some yards for him. So I absolutely love him. I think you're right on the money that he's going to be an impact player for a Power 4 team.
Bro, he's one of the only guys in this class, I should say from the middle to the end of the class, that can get the ball in a negative situation and just get positive chunks yards super quickly. He's like the Linus to every quarterback, that security blanket, that guy that okay, I got to get the ball out quick. Let me look for this guy. Boom, right. Go get him.
Even when the defense is like reading in on it, you see some plays where defense knows it's a screen pass. It doesn't matter, bro. He's still gone. Like, he still gets the yards.
Jab step to get back. You know what I mean? Like, he's got like a reverse Euro step. He gets back. Boom. Give me the ball. Good luck trying to get me.
Right.
And if you want to know more about Raheem, become a Patreon to Debbie Royale. I got something in the works for you. Statement number 4, class of 25 quarterback Blake Hebert is currently committed to Clemson. He will be the starter as a true freshman. SC, you're up first.
I think he will, bro. I think he could go in there and become that guy. I don't. Cade. It comes down to, is Cade staying there, right? Does he go out? Does he stay? I think he's going in there. He has beautiful touch. He throws with accuracy. He leads in the pocket with confidence. He doesn't let the pressure going in on him ruin anything like that. He still knows how to move. His footwork isn't necessary. Leaving the pocket, he can expand the play as well, but he knows how to take the step back, take the drop back, but then also just move up just a tad because that edge is coming around. I really love what I saw in this kid. I believe that the QB room can be his in Clemson next year.
All right, Massachusetts people, please don't kill me. Okay, don't crucify me because I'm your local boy, and he's from Mass. He's playing in Mass. It's at Catholic Cathedral for a little bit. He's pretty accurate QB. Right around 60%, 1,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, 1 pick. I love it. Absolutely love it. He's got good touch on the ball. He can make them bucket throws. And a big key thing that he's recruited by Garrett Riley. Garrett Riley went and got this guy. But I watched the spring game. Didn't watch Klubnik, man. Come on. I watched who was supposed to be the president of that. Vizino, how he even spells him. He made some of the better throws than Klubnik made in that game. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for my man to walk in there, Huber, and just take over. He's going to have to battle Vizino because Vizino's getting better every year. And I don't even know if Klubnik's going to come out this year. That room
blow it up.
Yeah, that room's going to – I think that room could be crowded. To say he's going to walk on as a true freshman and take that role, I'm going to have to go with no.
To add on to that, is Clemson going to be year in and year out 9-3, 10-2, 8-4 as long as Dabo's there?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're riding the complacency of mediocrity.
Riding the championship, and now you're like, oh, we've been there, we can do it again. But it's like, bro, you got to adjust. You got to make some moves, so.
We'll see. Dabo made his first portal in intrigue this year. Let's see how we go from there.
Statement number 5. Purdue freshman quarterback Marcos Davia will be the starting quarterback by week 9. SC, you're up first.
Yeah, man, if Hudson Card comes out and plays like he did, I think so. The schedule gets really tough. By week 9, I think that was Ohio State, if not like right after is Ohio State. So they have a really, really tough schedule, but I think Hudson Card is on a short leash now. I think he has to be, especially if you have your guy Davila come in and just produce. He can do that. He lets it rip. He doesn't necessarily move around. He knows how to air it out. And one thing when I was watching tape, he's not afraid to throw it up for his wide receivers. He's not afraid to make those deep throws, and he'll go out and do that. I think Card is struggling. And then again, if he comes out, he had 3 games at 50%, below 60% passing completion. Comes out and struggles again and doesn't make it happen, then for sure we can see Davila in.
I mean, outside of TJ Sheffield, who was Card throwing the ball to, my friend? Like, who did he really have as a weapon on the outside? And he kind of, when they didn't have it, he used the things below his waist, his legs, and he was, we had 5 touchdowns to end the season. My man was cooking in the run game. He had 2,300 yards. He was close to 60% completion on the year, 15-8. Like I said, 200 yards on the ground, 5 touchdowns. Now Davila, back-to-back years at 3,000 yards. And he's got 63 total touchdowns in 2 seasons. I love the release on the kid. I love that in his head he has that clock. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps maybe in the drop back, and that ball is coming out. I think as he goes on, he's going to have to maybe slow that down a little bit so he can go through all of his reads. Because right now he's kind of like a 2-read QB, right? Looks at the first read, and then by the second read, he's got to get the ball out. That's just how he throws the ball, it seems. When he throws a good deep ball, I don't see him taking over for Hudson Card. Not this year at all. I think he'll be a redshirt freshman this year, and the QB room will be his. If we're going to go down the schedule, let me take a look at the schedule here. What they're looking like.
I think I had them at 1-4 to start, if I'm not mistaken.
You're going to say Indiana State, right? So they win that game. Notre Dame, they're going to lose. Oregon State, I don't know.
That was
because their QB isn't 100%. He hasn't even taken a snap yet all spring, so we'll have to see there, right? And then you go Nebraska, that's a loss. Wisconsin, that's a loss. Illinois, not so sure if that's a loss, right?
They beat them last year,
right? They'll face Oregon. They'll lose that game, but Northwestern, that could be a dub. Then it's Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, and then Indiana. bro, I don't know if that's a guaranteed, win for Indiana either. If they lose games, I don't think it's going to be solely on his back. I don't know if that defense is as good as everybody wants to think that is either.
Yeah.
If Cott has to put up 35 every game because his defense is letting up 30 to 40, I don't know if that's going to weigh in on why this guy's going to come in and take his job. Now, my man's throwing, 10 interceptions in the first 5 games, then it's a whole different ball game. But I think this is going to be his squad for the whole year, and you're going to have a kid coming next year fresh.
I got a bonus debate. Ruben Owens. Talk me up about him. Why should I care about Ruben Owens? He's an older prospect this past season as a freshman. He wasn't effective. He wasn't efficient. I'm not even sold if he's the best running back in that room. You guys are higher on him than me. Talk me up about him.
So you go first, buddy. I'll clean it up.
No, I mean, well, it raises concerns when Amari Daniels, had more production of him, when you had Le'Veon Moss go in there and do more. But the real transition came in when they fired Fisher, right? And Elko came in. That was his best game, where he had 18 attempts for 106 yards, 5.9 yards per carry. After that, he had minimal production there. But I really think that was a testament saying, like, okay, let's see what he can do. Coming out, this guy was electric. He knew how to make his moves. He knew how to get in. He knew how to play big. Haven't seen that yet, but it could also be just acclimating to the new system, right? Just acclimating to a new process when you go to college, from high school to college. He had a backfield there. They ran a 3-headed monster. They may end up doing that again, but I really like what I see in him. And if you're low on him, then I'm gonna say buy low, because I think he can blow out and have a great year. He was a high prospect coming out. He's gonna definitely have to do more when the ball's in his hands, because he was the third best when it came to yards after the carry, or yards after contact, out of Le'Veon Moss and even Amari Daniels. But I really think next year, when he has his full system, full spring under him now, he can actually get to be the lead back for them.
Yeah, I couldn't understand why he couldn't break away from Moss and just kind of take over that back. But the two things that he kind of was known for, pass catching capability that he had, they really didn't utilize him that. I just think he's not very good in pass pro. He's not good at blocking, so he was kind of like a liability in that aspect. So one of the things he's good at, they can't keep him on the field for, because his quarterback can get destroyed. There was no hezzy. This dude was like unbelievable at his hesitation move that he was going to make to juke a guy out, right? Like, and when he juked, he could juke you and move forward and always get. I don't see that right now. I saw it flashed a little bit in maybe 1 or 2 games last season. I think you made a solid point. Maybe in a new system, right, under Elko in that group, a full year of that, he can kind of get forward running. Like, he has that Rashad Penny style of run to him, right? That physical running back, and he can sign a slash. I just really haven't seen it. I mean, I want him just to show up, because it only helps my guy Wegman in his process, having a guy that they have to look out for, where they can't just key and put 7 in the box and just tack my guy all over the field. But if I think not being able to be a pass pro guy is huge, because he eliminates a key asset of his game. And I don't know if maybe there was injury or something in there, but I don't see that hesitation juke maneuvering that he had coming out of high school. So I would love to talk him up. I was a guy that was big on him. Those are the things that I liked. I stated, but I'm not seeing what I was big on translate at A&M.
Yeah, I agree. And that Elko game, I'll let you go real quick. But then that Elko game, like I said, 18 carries. After that, he had less than 10 in the next 2. So it was kind of like, man, feed him and he can produce. But it seems like they just want to have 3 guys in there. So
we can kind of expand this to Connor Wegman as well. But with Mike Elko's system, he does like his quarterbacks to run. With Connor Wegman having, let's just say his first year, he only played a couple of games. He kind of got banged up. And this past season, he only played like 4 games. He got hurt, was out for the year. Mike Elko was quoted in spring where his quarterback, Connor Wegman, was gutting it out to get into spring practices and stuff. Does Elko's system concern you with Wegman possibly being more of a runner? And then if so, does that hinder Ruben Owens and that run game overall for A&M?
Yeah, that's what things need to pan out here. I got to see more go through into fall camp? Because I listen, I was never a Duke offensive fan. Like it was, that run and gun RPO style, right? Where let Riley Leonard kind of the ball's always in his hands. He makes the decision. Does he want to take it and go? Does he want to give it to Waters and let him run, or is he going to just roll out and throw the ball? So that doesn't fit Wegman's scheme. That's not his style of plays. That pocket pass. He's a little mobile to extend plays, but he's not going to be going out there getting you 300-400 yards. And that's kind of what Elko's system works for. And in that case, Ruben Owens could take the next step because Elko kind of likes to have a guy, right? And then there's other guys behind him, but he's got to earn it and he's got to take the room over. I don't know if he has the dog in him right now. Someone's got to just yank the leash on Ruben Owens and get that hunger back in him. I feel like he lost that a little bit. I think when he went to College Station, he kind of just got complacent. Like, I'm here, I made it. I was a dude. I'm here. Nobody in my class is really dominated, really. And I could just think, you got to take the bull by the horns, bro. This is the opportunity. Go get it. And let Elko know that you can be that lead back,
Yeah, to answer your question, of course, if it benefits Wegman to be a little bit more in the run game, that's going to hurt any running back in general, right? So with Ruben, it definitely becomes that, when you go in there thinking you're the guy, but then Amari Daniels comes out and says, no, I'm actually going to be better than you. It wasn't like it was huge. No one had like 800 yards or took over the lead or anything. Daniels had like 20 more carries than Owens, but then Daniels just made more out of it, right? And that's where it comes down to is like, dude, you can be the guy, but with running backs, especially if there's 3 that are being utilized, you have to do what you do every time you get the ball in your hands. There can't be any like, oh, I'm just going to run for a couple yards. You have to get those yards after contact, and that's something that I saw a lot in high school, which made it big, but you didn't see that. You didn't see that, as Nico was saying, that juice or that hunger when he was on the field. It was kind of just like, all right, I'm going to go do what I got to do. I know they're going to take me out anyways, right? So it's like, bro, you got to go in there and make sure you are the one regardless. And it doesn't matter if they're running 3 backs, get 70 carries, but you better be getting 400, 500 yards out of them too.
And then Wegman's your QB1, right, Nino?
Yes.
Where's he for you, SC?
1 second. Pull up my rankings real quick. As you know, I've been adjusting them here.
Health concern is something for me, like if he can't stay healthy this year, I would have to drop him down substantially. He might even fall out of my top 5 if he can't stay healthy. That's going to be a concern.
I am at 5 right now. I dropped Shadur from 1, so he's above Shadur now too. But I'm at 5.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think with Texas A&M, there's a lot of mixed bags here. There's talent that's still there. There's untapped talent. There's what we perceive to be talent there.
Yes.
I'm just not sold on Mike Elko in general.
Never have.
So, yeah.
It's always a bad look, or it always, in a sense, demoralizes the team and just the atmosphere when your coach gets hired at the end of the season, not even like mid-season, but towards the end, right? So I think that's something that's new to everybody is like, all right, how do we adjust and how do we go out gunning with this new guy leading us?
And those were our 5 statements. Now we're going to give you our stock exchange. Nino, who's your stock guy?
I'm going to go with a kid that had a lot of hype. Was top 10 QB in his class, went to Oklahoma, couldn't crack it, right? Because Dylan Gabriel had the chokehold on it, and obviously Jackson Arnold came in the following season. And then he went to Wisconsin when Jackson Arnold showed up, and he couldn't crack it really there either as well, but he has all the talent in the world, and I think this was a big sign for Jim Mora and the UConn Huskies. They went out and got their quarterback. Robinson just hit the portal the day before. And I'm going to tell you something right now. A lot of people are sleeping on UConn because they think it's just a running team, defensive team, Cam Edwards, Victor Rosa. They made a lot of sneaky moves in the offseason in this wide receiver room, right? Like I mentioned him early in the episode. They went out and got TJ Sherfield, who was literally the best receiver that Purdue had last season, right? They sneakily went out and they got, Josiah Gathings out of Akron. This kid is a dog. And they got a dude out of Wisconsin who's familiar with Nick and Skylar Bell. They're putting together some pieces here. I have a funny feeling that Nick Evers is going to take over and be this QB1 because it's wide open. And you're going to start to see everything that we thought he had the potential to be. Is he going to throw for 3,000 yards at UConn? Probably not. But I think in his first year, you could get some of it's, around the 2,500 mark, maybe 20 touchdowns. I'd like to see him in a single digit turnover ratio right there. And that we know that he hasn't lost anything coming out of high school because he really hasn't gotten any, significant starts or any playing time like that. But I think the talent's there. I think Jim Moore knew as soon as this kid hit the post, let me go get him, bring him in here. He may only be here for 1 year. This may only be a kind of a stepping stone, landing spot like Malachi Nelson in Boise State. But I like the signing. I like the commitment here, and I like the pieces that they put around him before they brought him in. I think Nick Ewers is about to take off.
Yeah, he's someone that knows how to again get out that pocket and use his feet if he needs to. He's a little bit mobile there when it comes to it as well. You mentioned not throwing for 3,000 yards. I mean, I think we're going to see the tail of the tape in his first 3 weeks. He's at Maryland, then he plays Merrimack, and then Duke. That Duke and Maryland game will really show. You're playing against some Power Four teams there. What are you going to do with it?
Right.
So very excited to see him because he definitely looked like he had something to him. But it's hard for we're talking about now a freshman going in and just taking the spot, regardless if the quarterback before them is trash. It's just if they're a senior or upperclassman, chances are they're gonna get that top look over you. So now open room, it could be his. So it'll be excited to see. And if he does get that room, hey, go out there and make it yours, man.
SC, who's your stock guy?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about a guy that's entered the transfer portal, Zachary Franklin. Everyone was big on him last season. Battled through some injuries. Then they brought in Juice Wells, for a dart there. He had back-to-back seasons at UTSA prior to that, and I just think right now he is a top target in the transfer portal for some wide receivers, unless for teams that are looking for wide receivers, unless there is some big injury concerns for him. But I really think if he gets back to those UTSA days, that's a big threat for you. And that's someone that a lot of quarterbacks will like to have on their team. So he's definitely on my radar right now. I have him a stock up because I think, what if he goes to a room that has nobody? He could be the one there, where last year is a little hesitant there. And as I said, they brought in Juice Wells this season. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. And I think if he goes to a good spot, hopefully you hold him instead of, dropping him.
I really hope that you're right because I'm getting the vibe that he's in the same bucket as Dante Cephas, that they were just big fish at small ponds. And when they go to the next P5 level or P4 to that next step, they're just minnows in the ocean, bro. Like Dante Cephas was the same thing as Franklin. 1,000-yard receiver, double-digit touchdowns, big play capability, went to Penn State, barely cracked 300 yards, right? Zachary Franklin, 1,300, double-digit touchdowns, goes to a school. You mentioned Juice Wells. They got Juice Wells this year. They didn't have him last year. Trey Harris beat this dude out. Trey Harris coming from La Tech took this dude's lunch and stuffed him in a barrel. And then he got into trouble with like the school. They got kicked off the team. Was maybe going to go to the draft. Didn't seem to draw any interest from the draft. Decided to come back and hit the portal. I'm getting bad vibes that he's just, like I said, this is a big fish in a small pond. But hey, I hope everything works out for the kid and he lands somewhere because the talent was there. But was it because of my reason?
Fair.
Is he a stock up for you, SC, because you think he'll be able to replicate that production at a Power 4 school? Or do you think he goes back to a group of 5 school and gets that production and you're hoping for your stock up that way?
I think where we're in the portal, the optimism is of course if he goes Power 4, but I think he's gonna end up going back down to a Power 5. I mean, that's just best look for him, right? To make sure it happens. The stock up is because I feel any team that gets him gets a good wide receiver. You gotta look at last year's tape as well, but going back 2 years, as Nino was saying, it's more of optimistic hope than it is actually seeing it because there is some scare there right now. But I think we saw what he did at UTSA. He looked like a great athlete there. We didn't see a lot of that where he was at Mississippi. So now it's like, okay, let's make sure we really did have it. This is the real tail of the tape for him as far as what he can do. This is a final year of eligibility for him to go out there and make some work happen. And because of that, because the transfer portal is kind of getting like narrow, like you're right, I don't feel like there's a lot of spots now, but it's like anyone that goes out and gets him, I don't think they're getting him to necessarily be a 2 or 3. It's like, all right, we're gonna go get him because we think he could be our top guy.
If he's gonna have relevancy in a P4 program, It's got to be somewhere where it's got a similar style of that UTSA, that air raid, that wide open set. Maybe Mississippi State could be a landing spot because there are some pieces over there that they could use to fill in that room. And Blake Shapen seems to be okay in this, that air raid system with Levy. Baylor as well, right, is another place. Him and Finn could be in a good situation. I know they have Monterey Baldwin, who's always been their deep threat guy on the outside at Baylor for the last 2 seasons. But I think he would have to go at that style of school, or else you're looking at going somewhere like Liberty, right? You know what I mean? Somewhere, and that wouldn't be a bad landing spot. That just came. You put him on the outside if he has what he had at UTSA, Caden Salter, right? Mm-hmm. Watch out. Maybe he goes to a school like Virginia on the opposite side of Malachi Fields, right? Watch out. I don't know where he could land because I'm out. Like everything I've seen in the past year and a half. Now this kid hasn't really done anything in football in about a year and a half either. So now got to kick the rust off. But they needed help in that wide receiver room at Ole Miss, and this kid couldn't get on the field. And then he got kicked off the team. That's huge red flags for me. Again, I still believe in that I think I'm more of a 55-45, that he was just a big fish in a small pond.
I think the only Power 4 school that would make any sense for him would be Arizona State. They lost a bunch of guys there. I think for a Power 4 team, that would be it. For a Group of 5 team, I think
Jeff Sims can't get him the ball.
What about Houston?
I can't get him the ball. Not down deep, anyway.
What about Houston?
Houston's going to want to run it 60% of the time.
Parker, baby. Parker Jenkins.
I mean, Houston lost Golden. They lost Sam Brown.
Jack's the guy.
Yeah, that Tulane coach. All he wants to do is run, so it makes sense.
And their quarterback's hurt, right?
Yeah.
So.
And their incoming guy, Chris, he didn't look that good.
Zion Chris, he's a mobile QB. He's more using his legs than throw the ball. So they're going to be pounding the rocks, probably 65%.
Yeah. So great episode, guys. SC, where can people find your work?
Yeah, man. So at the PPR so on X, follow me talking these guys all the time, and then just talking anything football really, or wrestling if you're into that kind of stuff as well. RPO football, that's where all my pro NFL articles are coming out. Just dropped my undrafted gems, so all the guys that were in the draft that got undrafted, don't sleep on them. They had Ivan Pace last year, might have some guys this year as well. I'm working on my Devy articles here, got a lot coming out at Fantasy Football Universe, just talking about the next up guys when it comes to the next classes moving up that have draft potential as well. Yeah, man, and just future Phenoms every Thursday with y'all. CFB Nation, the O was at the spring game, had the article there. Go check it out. Talked about what I love there as well. So
drop one of your IDP gems.
IDP gems for the undrafteds?
Yeah.
We're gonna go Bo Brady out of Maryland. You want to talk about safety? Went to the Ravens. This guy, they have Kyle Hamilton, I know, but it fits what the Ravens need and what they want. Just someone that can be everywhere in the backfield, be someone that's very valuable, can go out and be in the box or drop back into coverage as well. I even say it in the article, out of all my undrafted gems, this kid should not have gone undrafted. But hey, we see it every year. I'm getting him in my IDP leagues.
Nino, where can people find your work?
Future Phenoms, CFB Nation, Devi DGens, any one of those 3 sites, and then at __ Nino Brown _ that's where I'm at. I'm gonna piggyback off SC. He said the untapped, the undrafted gems. Jalen Coker's starting. Jalen Coker's probably going to be the wide receiver 4 for the Carolina Panthers. I don't know how the kid didn't go drafted, right?
Talk about him.
He's definitely cracking that lineup. And I'm gonna go with a guy I believe landed with my Patriots just recently, Tedrick Ross, safety out of Middle Tennessee, Blue Raiders. I got a possibility. I think this kid's going to crack the roster over there, and there's a good chance. He's a hard hitter. He can play down in the box. He's got a nose for the ball, right? He can pass break up. Patriots like those type of guys. Duggar just got the extension. They got Mapu, but I think this kid Ross can be one of those type of safeties for them in the future. So I love those 2 guys.
Man, just because you brought up an offense, I will throw one out because y'all know I'm Oregon guy. So Bo Nix, he got drafted 12th overall to the Denver Broncos. They picked up Blake Watson out of Memphis, UDFA. This kid, you want a pass catching back. You look at Bo Nix and his ADOT, about 6.8, I believe, last year. So it's like you need a pass catching back. It's not Javonte Williams. They drafted Audric Estime. Cool. This kid is the back. His draft stock dropped because he didn't get invited to NFL Combine. Go watch his tape, man. This is gonna be the guy you want.
It's gonna be his Bucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Follow these two on X. They are great follows. Now, we'll be back next week, but before we go, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, give us a rate and review. And we'll see you next Thursday on Future Phenoms.